Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate the blanket stitch. It's a decorative stitch that is used on the edge of blankets to bind the fabric together. It's not a difficult stitch. I first learned how to do this stitch as a brownie, which was many decades ago. So it's been around a long time. I'll also show you how to do the blanket stitch on applique pieces. And that means I'm going to take a little leaf shape and stitch around the edges onto some background fabric. Okay, let's get started. If you're a beginner, this is some thread choices I recommend for you to get started with. There's many different threads, many different needles, but this here is just your standard embroidery floss, and there are 6 strands in it, and you can use anywhere from 2 strands or more to do your stitching. This is DMC pearl cotton thread, and it's just 1 strand, and there's many different sizes of this thread. This is a size 5, but there's many other sizes. There's many different types of needles, and it all depends on the fabric and the thread you are choosing. On this demonstration, I'm going to be stitching on felt, but if you are stitching on quilting cotton fabric, you could use just your standard quilter's hand needles and cotton thread. For this, because I'm stitching on felt, I'm using a chenille needle. I'm using the pearl DMC thread, and then I put a knot at the end of the thread. For more detailed information on needles and threads for doing this type of stitching, go to DMC Needle Guide. Just go on the internet and enter it in the search window, and a link will be listed below. I'm using 2 layers of felt fabric, and when you're going to do the blanket stitch, you want to make sure your edges are even with each other. I recommend you either pin them like this, because it'll hold the edges together evenly. If you place the pins coming in this way, it could distort the edges of your fabric. My favorite way to hold the edges together for doing a blanket stitch are these little clips. If you're doing this on the edge of a blanket, to get started, you want to insert your needle underneath the first layer of fabric that you're using. And this is to hide the knot. So you want to make sure that knot is securely hidden underneath. Now go underneath the fabric and come up through the same hole that you first came through when you started the stitch. So pull it all the way through. And now you've got this little loop there. So now you want to go through the loop and pull it like that. Now the amount of space in between, it really depends on you. But usually the rule is, and I don't always believe in rules in sewing, but if you're doing a 1/4 inch long stitch, you would go over a 1/4 inch. So again, you would go underneath and go over about a 1/4 inch and pull it through. Then there's that loop again. You're going to go in this way and pull it. Now, if it looks like I'm looking awkward to you, it's because I'm left-handed, so I'm trying to do it in a right-handed perspective. So now I'm going to try it one more, or do it one more time for you. Go up underneath. Let me lift this up so I can see a little better. And pull it through. And then here's your loop. Go through the loop and pull. And this is what your stitch should look like. Here's how I recommend you go around a corner. As you're approaching your corner, you want to have your last stitch on this side to be 1/4 of an inch away from this edge here. Your next stitch is going to go across this way, and then to continue down the next side, you're going to go across this way. So let me do the one at the corner. So you're going to go underneath, and you're going to try to come up near that hole right there, okay? And you're going to go through that little loop, and you want it to end right across that corner like that. So after you've done the one on the corner, now you want to go ahead and start on this next edge. So come back up through that same hole again, pull it, and there's your loop. Go through the loop. I'm going to pull it over there a little bit, and there you go. And that's how you do your corners, and you just continue on down the side. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to do the blanket stitch on an applique piece. So you have your background fabric, whether you're using quilting fabric or this felt like I am, and doing the blanket stitch around the edge. This blanket stitch is very common to do on wool felt to make decorative projects. And I've cut out some leaf shapes and placed it on felt. So the leaf shapes are made out of felt as well as the background felt. And on this one, I'm using all 6 strands of the embroidery floss. You would start it the same way. For instance, when I went underneath the leaf itself to hide the knot, and then I went up through and started it just like I did that I demonstrated before. When you're going along an edge like this, because both fabrics are not the same, they're at a different width. This one's obviously smaller than back here. So when you go underneath, you're going to go over that same distance, go through the bottom fabric, up through your top fabric, pull it through. There's your loop right here. Go through it and pull. Let me do it a few more times. You're going to go through both. Come over and through, underneath. And as you're pulling it through, you're not going to let the loop close all the way up. You're going to leave it open like this and pull it through. Let me do it one more time. Come underneath and do your stitch. And then go through that loop and close it up. Sometimes it helps to make your stitches even if you had a little line drawn across here. Now you don't want to use pencil or pin or any type of marking that might be difficult to get off. So what I love these water-soluble fabric marking pins. So let's say you want your stitches 1/4 of an inch wide. You could place your 1/4 inch line on the edge of your fabric, whatever you're using, and then draw a line across here. Now, there it is. Now, if you're worried about it being difficult to get out, it's not. All you need to do is I just spray a little bit of water, and look, it starts to disappear. If you're interested in how I got these little leaf patterns, I didn't necessarily draw these. You can always draw your own. So if you're interested in doing something like this so you can use this blanket stitch, all I did was I looked for fabric that had large leaf designs on it. Then I cut some of them out, placed them in my photocopier printer, and printed it out on paper. Then I cut them out. Here's my little copy. And if you want to use these leaves over and over again, like this one here, you can put it on cardboard because it's much easier to trace it onto your fabric, whether it's felt or 100% cotton quilting fabric. In this way, you can keep them and use them over and over. Here is a pot holder I made with two heart shapes on it. And I used a blanket stitch, but it was done on my sewing machine. So if you do have a sewing machine, look on your machine to see if you have some applique stitches, because you can use those and do it on your projects. It's very, very fast, but it's a little bit of a different process. And so you might have stitches that look something like this, and you can always use a zigzag stitch if you like. If you're interested in learning about machine applique, there will be a link listed below your YouTube screen in the description section that will take you to some tutorials on how to do machine applique. If you love to do hand stitching, then there's something called cross stitch. And so I have many beginner tutorials on doing cross stitch, from very small projects to larger ones like this. So if you're interested in this, check below your YouTube screen for the video link. If you've been thinking about learning how to sew and you would like to start on a beginner project, I have many of them. And this is an elastic pencil case. So it's got a zipper here. Don't be afraid of this zipper. It's real easy to put in. And then there's a piece of elastic on the case, and you can wrap it around a book cover. Also, another easy beginner's project is this little coin pouch. Again, the zipper is really easy. Don't be intimidated by it. And so you can put money or whatever else in there. And here is a little wristlet that is super easy, only takes a few minutes to make, and you can attach it to this and carry it around your wrist. If you're interested in table linens, look at this beautiful fall placemat. I have many tutorials on learning how to make basic placemats and pot holders. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I also hope it was very helpful to you. Now, don't forget about all those links that I talked about. You just scroll down to the description section, click on Show More or the down arrow, and you'll see all those links appear. Now, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.